YouTube, hi, my name is Mark, and this is Nixon Motorsports. This channel is all about motorsports, from racing to exotic cars and much more. Okay, so today's video is about telemetry. I've talked about telemetry before. This is a little more specific, Motec Telemetry for racers, but more importantly, I would like to announce and talk about at least an overview of the Nixon Motorsports Motec Telemetry Solution. I think you'll find this interesting, so come on, let's get into it. So before I get into some of the details of our product that I mentioned, let me talk about what is telemetry. So let me recap that for you if you have any questions on that. Let me talk about why you may care, why you may be of interest to have telemetry on your race car, and then I'll talk about some benefits having used telemetry myself now for the last couple of years. I'll talk about some examples from just reliability, performance, and so on. So I'll cover some of that, and then of course I'll get into telemetry and our product, some of the pros and cons, things that you might want to look at. Okay? So what is telemetry? Simply put, it's a transmission of a data stream over a wireless connection. So from a race car application point of view, telemetry takes your data from your data acquisition, so channels and such that you're logging or monitoring from your race car, and transmitting that over to an endpoint or a user of some type, or wirelessly, right? So whether that be radio, whether that be cellular, regardless. So telemetry in general is as simple as that. It's streaming live data from your race car to a person or computer and device on the other end. Okay? Let me spend a minute and talk about why you might be interested in telemetry. Like many of you, I suspect, who've been racing for a number of years, you know, I just added telemetry about 2 years ago myself, so I've been using it now actively ever since. Previous to that, so for the first 20 some odd years of my racing, for me, I knew about it. I always thought it sounded interesting. I expected it to be expensive. Really didn't dig into it much to find out really what it's all about. And so, you know, why you might be interested. So let me talk about that. I talked about reliability. I talked about performance. So let me start with reliability in that basic point. So if you think about a racer, yourself, right? You have display access in your race car, you have alarms, you have triggers and thresholds, things to get your attention. So your system typically will be programmed where you'll have flashing lights, for an example, right, that will tell you stop, stop, stop. You know, oil pressure is an issue. You get it. Whatever you program into the system. I found for myself, look, you're busy, right? You're driving, you're pushing, you're trying to overtake cars. You're busy as a driver, and obviously you look at your dash. There's information that's of value, but for the most part, the alarms are alarms that are limited and very specific, and basically, at least for me and how I've used dash and alarms over the past, they were critical alarms, right? Water temperature, you know, oil pressures, things like that. So from a reliability point of view, one thing that I found is comforting is to have all of my data, and I have a lot of data in my race car. I have sensors practically anywhere and everywhere you can think of. But that data being transmitted live to my race engineer is comforting. But you know, I talk about reliability kind of in a broader sense. It's comforting knowing that you have your race engineer that's looking at everything in your race car live, whereas I could be more focused on driving, and it's just comforting knowing that I have that double set of eyes against the wall, again, my race engineer. And let me give you an example. A small little example, but it helps convey my point. So it was probably about a year ago. I was on track, and I had an alarm trigger on my dash, and it, you know, the flashing red lights, that kind of thing, got my attention, of course. I looked down, and it gave me a brief message, something about water pressure. That's about it, right? And so I was about ready to take the car in. I obviously slowed way down. I was on the edge of, you know, pulling over and shutting off even. But I talked to my race engineer over the radio. I said, hey, I have this alarm going off. Do you see the same thing? And after just a couple seconds, he came back and he goes, no, actually, I'm looking at water pressure. I'm looking at your coolant temperature. Your coolant system looks totally okay. I don't see any issues, anything out of the normal ranges whatsoever. So, based on that, I kept going, and I finished my run. I was bothered by that alarm still flashing in my face, of course, but I continued. I did not have to pull in. So, you know, if you're in a race, if you're racing, if you're qualifying, whatever your runs may be, you know, it would obviously have an impact on you if you didn't have that extra set of eyes. So I just call that a kind of reliability in general. So there's that end of it. Back to the, you know, why telemetry again. So here's another example. And I, to be honest with you, never really thought of this or some of these things until I began an active user of telemetry myself. And so from a performance point of view, there are definitely advantages. So back to, again, all of your data, or whatever data you want to transmit to your race engineer. That race engineer now has access to information that's very difficult for you to have in your race car. And so here's an example. So my race engineer is monitoring when I'm on track, especially like qualifying runs, that type of thing. He will be monitoring my tire temperatures, looking for the optimal window when the tires are at their peak performance window. And look, as a driver, you know, you can tell when your tires are starting to move into their effective range, right? You can just tell based on kind of the grip level of the race car and such. But what I have access to now, and this is definitely a performance advantage, I'll be out on track, and again, like a qualifying example, and my race engineer will come over the radio and say, Mark, okay, tires are at temp, this lap, push, push, push. And so I know at that moment, this lap, this is my golden lap, I need to push hard. So that's one example. You know, again, the opposite side, and you could be under temperature, you could be over temperature, but another example, you could be possibly with higher ambient temps or track temp, surface temps, that type of thing. You could do a lap, but you want to get another lap in, and your race engineer will tell you, tires are hot, you know, do a cool down lap, you know, basically do another lap, not where you're pushing, but where you're intentionally trying to just let the tires cool a touch. Those are examples. And without having a race engineer, without having telemetry and that kind of data being transmitted live, as a racer, you would not have that level of granularity. So that's just a couple examples, and I believe there's many examples, but for me, those are just a couple points worth highlighting why you as a racer might want to consider telemetry for your race car. So let me talk about some of the products that are out there, telemetry, and anyway, very quickly, right? And let's start with this. So there are a lot of data acquisition systems out there on the planet. Things from, of course, AIM, Motec. You have, Crosworth, Pi, and so on. And most of the more, I would say, professional grade systems or data acquisition products do provide telemetry as an option, right? On the lower end of the scale, that's not quite the case. So for an example, AIM, which has some great products, but AIM is not targeted really for the upper end or high end professional racer. They're a strong amateur-based product, but they don't have telemetry, is my point. So AIM is an example where if you wanted telemetry, you will have a problem. Now there's a couple products out there though that even for the AIM users you could use. And let me just pan over here and show you my computer screen really quick. So here's one, Race Capture. Some of you have probably seen this or used it. Race Capture is a product that basically a small little compute device that listens to your CAN bus, and it will transmit that data over to their mobile app, something like this, right? So that's just one example. Here's another one from a company called Race Technology. Now this has been out of stock for quite some time, and I'm not sure if it's actually in production or not, but here's another product that basically is attempting or listens to your CAN messages, and in theory could listen to CAN messages on any CAN-based data acquisition system, which is pretty much all of them. So those are options. I've actually purchased those myself last couple of years, so I've actually tried them. Not a knock on those products at all. They are a very simple product. Here's the one point that I think is very important for you to understand. So if you're going to take telemetry seriously from a tool perspective, I believe that the transmission, however that happens, needs to be delivered to your race engineer or crew, whoever that may be, where they are using the analysis software that you are using for your entire race car operation, right? So in my case, I use Motec, and the Motec analysis software is called i2. So telemetry from the Motec solution point of view broadcasts everything over to the race engineer. He or she's using i2, and the benefits of that, it's the same application that's used to manage the entire race car data set, but all the math channels, I mean everything that is set up, programmed and such in that system is there available for view. Now, when you're looking at some of these other products, like I showed you, back over here again to this Podium product, right? So they don't feed to i2 or to the analysis software itself. They provide a couple little dashboards like this. Again, if you don't have anything else, maybe that's all you're interested in. But for my interest, it wasn't. It didn't provide enough capability. I ultimately ended up tossing those in the trash bin after a period of time. I just found them they were not useful for me. Okay, so that's a couple products that are out there. Just thought I would give you a highlight on that. So before I get into talking about our telemetry product itself, let me spend a minute and talk about Motec's telemetry solution. Talk about, you know, kind of the pros and cons to what they have. First of all, I've been using the Motec system for the last year and a half or so. Works flawlessly, so I'm not going to knock it at all from that point of view. It is turnkey and so on. So basically what you do is, from a real simple view, you have a modem, if you will, that you mount in your race car. Then at the pit wall, or with your race engineer, he or she has the same modem product itself. They connect wirelessly. They use 4G, so they use cell network, and you can configure anything you want on your race car to be transmitted to your race engineer, right? And you know, as an example, you know, so this is one of the displays that I use for telemetry, right? So we have a couple different views. This one's a little more detailed. If I just run here, you can see some of the data. So it depends on the screen, what the race engineer is using, whether it be a laptop, possibly computer, or a tablet. And so this is what's actually transmitted, right? And let me show you what the Motec Radios look like, so you can see directly. Now, hopefully I got to wiggle in here, but here's an example. If you can see this here, that is a, scroll down here a bit, that is the radio modem that actually fits inside the race car. And then you have to have the same thing again for the race engineer himself or herself. You know, so in our case, an example, here's in our UTV, our little pit cart. So we have a radio modem here that's fitted in the pit cart, and that allows us to be mobile and have a power source to the radio modem at the pit wall for the race engineer. So let me talk about some of the pros and cons with the Motec telemetry solution. On the pro side, I would say, again, turnkey, works well, very little issues with it. On the con side, it is pricey. The overall solution for the modems and such to get going, it is pricey. You do have to enable telemetry option. That's a one-time fee. And so you have to have a data acquisition or a logger in your race car. It has to be Motec, of course, right? And you do not need to have a Motec ECU or any other parts, but you have to have a logger. And the logger has to be enabled with telemetry. And again, as I said, that's about $2,000 to $3,000, a one-time fee to enable that. All of the loggers, let's see, the C12X, C18X, the embedded loggers, they all have telemetry as an option. The dash or the club dash level, I think there's one basic product that is a logger, but it does not have telemetry. So just double check what logger you have, but the majority of Motec's loggers do support telemetry. So back on, so maybe some negatives. Their solution uses 4G, which is better than the older radio technology. They use Verizon only, and some places around the country, Verizon may not be the best cell option for you, but it's limited to and only Verizon from a SIM cell network point of view. You do have to pay for cell service through Motec, so that telemetry Verizon cell service is a little pricey, so they do charge for that on a monthly basis. That's about it on the Motec side, okay? All right, so let me talk about our telemetry solution. And I say solution because we provide a turnkey solution. Now this is Motec only, but you can turn to us if you have interest in telemetry. And the two basic products that we have, are the in-car components that you'll need, and the track side or pit wall side electronics. Those tie and work together, of course, to feed race car telemetry to you in the pit wall. Again, for Motec, this is the I2 analysis side. So let me show you a couple items and then talk a little more about some of the pros and cons of our solution. So let me pan down here. So this is an example for the race car itself. There's a small embedded computer that you do have to mount in your race car. It does take 12-volt power, and then we provide connectivity that you'll need to wire that into your logger's data feed. So there is a small little embedded computer. It weighs less than a pound. It's about 0.6 actually, so very, very light. And then there is a small hotspot that we provide, and then a regulator as well that you'll need to wire into your hotspot. So this provides consistent 12-volt power and avoids any surges or activity that could harm electronics. So this is what goes in the race car. Now let me talk about each piece for a moment. First, we use a hotspot in the race car. This provides network for you, so all of your Motec devices that are Ethernet all plug into the network, and that allows you to have one connectivity point to manage all of your Motec devices. It also provides, of course, internet connectivity for the embedded computer, which is needed for telemetry. On top of that, you have Wi-Fi. So what that means, so as your race car is rolling around the pits, you're in the garage, obviously you could plug into the Ethernet port to download data, to configure your ECU, whatever you may want. But it also has Wi-Fi, so you could be on the pit wall, you could be wherever, within what, 300 feet or so, and you have direct connectivity to your race car. So this is what goes in the race car itself. So let me turn over here. So on the pit wall side, we provide another hotspot. Now this is a specially configured device that is required. This hotspot, and so here's an example of a kind of a hand carry solution, right? Where you could take this up to the pit wall wherever you're at, actually. Just power it on, and it provides link and connectivity to your race car. And just like any other hotspot, whatever you have within that 300 feet or so range of Wi-Fi, you have internet connectivity as well. So this is what we provide. Now, this is a battery pack. It would allow you to run this thing all day with no issues. You can, of course, mount your the special hotspot device if you have a pit wall cart or whatever you may have. If you have 12-volt power or AC power there, you could actually just you know, mount that into your utility cart if you choose to. And we sell high gain antennas and all that kind of stuff. But you'll need this, and then we recommend tablets. So the two different turnkey options we have, and this is actually connected right now to the race car. We have they're both rugged tablets with great sun kind of glare rejection. They are ruggedized. All they need is Wi-Fi connectivity to your hotspot device, and you have telemetry. So we have this 11.5-inch version, and we also have this smaller 10-inch. I think it's 10.2-inch roughly, as another option. So this is a lower cost unit, and this is a this 11.5-inch does have a higher price tag on it. We configure everything so it arrives, and it is a for the most part plug and play as much as the Motec system is for you. Okay. So I went ahead and fired up the race car. Let me pan over here so you can see from the dash. It's running. You can hear it running. So let me pan down here. So this is, in fact, I can pick it up. So this is a tablet that we configure. And this is the 11.5-inch tablet, ruggedized tablet. I can just kind of spin around here. You can see some of this. We like using the tablets. Especially the two that we've sourced, because their readability in sunlight is very good, and they're a rugged display, super easy to carry around, right? But as I just roll over here, I can run over to the race car, and so you can see here I pan down to the dash. You can see temperature is what it's looking like, and I can pan over here and I see the same thing. If I scroll down here, just set it here in the race car for a second, so I can blip it a little bit. Anyway, you get the idea, right? I just wanted to show you what this looks like when it's running. Well, so again, pros and cons, I think, in our solution. You know, the Wi-Fi in the race car is pretty cool. A single network for all your Motec devices. You can use any cell network you want, SIM card. It's unlocked, so you can have multiple different service providers as you move between different venues around the country. You know, Wi-Fi for the car, so you can connect to the race car within range. You do not have to, you know, connect with cable to download that, you know, log data, that kind of thing. The trackside device as well, again, special hotspot device that you have to have, providing 4G Wi-Fi to everybody at the trackside, which is pretty powerful. We do sell as an option a 5G device as well, so let us know if that's of interest. If you want to mount your hotspot on your pit cart or pit wall, you can do that. We sell high gain antennas and such if you think you need those. But the small portable battery powered device you can just carry with you, just have it somewhere around your access around trackside. It's very small and portable, and you know, that's all you need in most cases. So, you know, I think the added benefit of having multiple cars or multiple people viewing data stream is pretty powerful and compelling. So you could be a race team where you have multiple different cars. They all can be streaming data to your same I2 station, which is pretty cool. Or you can broadcast that data stream from your race car to multiple different users. You might have a spotter or two on the track. You might have a couple different views of engineers and data engineers, pit walls, so they can all have access to the same live data, and you know, that's pretty powerful. So yes, you know, it's a lower cost solution as well. It is Motec only, so before you ask, we have not developed a solution that is universal. Not sure if we will, but it's a possibility down the road. So again, this is a Motec only. If you have any interest, just go to our website, go to nixonmotorsports.com, and look under telemetry. You'll find cost and product options there for you. So you know, just let us know if you have any questions on that. It is in stock. We can ship right away, just so you know. Okay. Last thing is support. So we do offer Motec telemetry support. I would suspect some of you may need a little bit of help set up initially, though we ship ready to operate. There is some configuration that you might want to do on your data logger itself, your I2 analysis software, different views, and so on. So we can help if that's of interest. We do charge an hourly rate. You'll see that on the website as well. So just go check that out, okay? Well, that is it for this video. A rundown on telemetry, what is it, why may you be interested in it, talking about a couple of the products out there, talking about our solution for Motec Telemetry. And again, I hope you found this of use, and share with your friends. Now, I got to ask this, if you haven't subscribed, please do so. We're trying to build this channel, and look forward to having conversations with you through comments and so on. So that's it for now. Until next time, ciao.